So you should be able to see the presentation screen now. I'm going to bring in a yes/no poll. Just say yes if you can see the presentation and no if you can't. And if you cannot, it usually takes 5 to 6 seconds for it to come on screen. Please just mark yes if you can see the presentation. It's called Number Properties 2 Quant Live Session. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all of those votes. Now, all right, let me just introduce you to everything that you see on screen right now. This on the left, really, let me just mark this 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one is where you see the presentation, Number Properties 2. Number 2 is the area immediately on its right where you see this poll. Right now it says poll closed. You see question 1 and you see some choices along with this extra choice called still solving. Still solving really is for me to first of all understand how many people are active participants into this session. For example, before I show you a question, I will say, please mark still solving. And if say 80% of you mark still solving, then only those 80% of you will be my active participants. And the amount of time that I'll be giving to you for every question will depend on how long these 80% people take, not on the other people who were not active participants. So if you want to influence the time that I give you for every question, you have to mark still solving. Okay, that is the pace I'm going to go by. Majority of those people should be done with the question before I start discussing. Now you go right below that, it's a chat box where you and I are going to talk. I'm your host today, Shweta Koshija. I am a quant expert at e-GMAT. e-GMAT students might have seen some of the courses that I recorded, or you might have seen some of other sessions that I've taken in the past. So we are going to talk here in the chat box. When I ask you a question, as I said, it has to be super interactive. Now on the left of that is the Q&A pod. This question and answer pod is for questions that I might not be able to take during the session. For example, I just explained something and I go on and then you get stuck, you get confused, okay, what happened there? So I might not be able to go back, but you can always put that question here. And our co-host for today, we have Anshuman here, who's another quant expert at e-GMAT. He will be helping you with those questions. So together, the two of us will try to answer as many questions as possible. We'll try to take you to the other side of the session with a lot more confidence than you have right now in quant. Okay, so just so that we get started, we see a feel of the chat box. Come on into the chat box and tell me, how do you like number properties? How would you say, how comfortable are you with this topic? Okay, Saurabh is typing, Tanvi is typing. Good, now that's the interaction I want. Decent, says Tanvi. Fairly comfortable, decent again, good. Okay, that's very nice to hear. A lot of you feel good about number properties. Very nice. Estimation and Anshuman, I think we would need the presentation screen to be large. I'm sorry. I've done it. Okay. Haven't had math in a while, says Anna. Shreya Gupta, have my basics intact, need practice with harder questions. Okay, that's good. Estimation and rounding, okay, that's a problem. Comfortable, but I feel I need to cement. More brush up needed. Good. So you can all read the chat here. Let me see if I'm broadcasting this. So you can all read what everybody is saying. You would see how this is quite a varied group. There are people who are already very comfortable with this, and there are people who are currently not as comfortable, right? But there are also people who are just saying, you know, I'm already at the 700 level, it just takes me time. And some are saying it's rusted. This variety is a very interesting mix. I assure you, you are all of you are going to take something from here today. If only you keep interacting like this, just how you've started. It's a very good start. Now there are two parts. Again, we'll have the live session for most of the part and then questions if you might have any, although we're going to, you know, answer questions as we go into the session. You won't have to wait for the end. The purpose is to help you understand what's the key to acing GMAT Quant. It's not just doing thousands of questions. In fact, let me remove the word just. It's not doing thousands of questions. You do questions the right way after you have a sound understanding of your basics. You're so good with your basics. Your foundation is so nicely done. Then you go into solving questions with a proper approach. We at e-GMAT do not believe in shortcuts at all. Shortcuts work on one question, they don't work on another. My goal today will be to give you this structured approach that you can take into the exam room with confidence. The progression is very important for all of you to understand. I'm going to show you some hard DS questions in the beginning, 3 questions, which are really there to give you a flavor of what you're going to learn through the session. I don't expect very high accuracies in the first attempt, of course. But when we'll come back to these 3 questions later here, you would see the same numbers, 8 through 10, 8 through 10. I am going to get you back to these 3 questions in the end, and you will notice I was so confused the first time. Now I know what I'm doing, and that is true growth. Okay, what is it that how are we going to actually learn things? We'll start with the warm-up section where we'll warm ourselves up with some basic conceptual questions. Then we'll go one notch up, 650 to 700 problem solving questions, then slightly higher, 700 plus again, but problem solving still. And then finally will be 700 plus DS questions. I hope everybody is very clear what we're going to do. So get ready for these first of all. This is, again, don't be intimidated by this. Give it your best shot. Just do it how you can do it. But remember how you feel about this right now, because I will ask you the same question when we come here. I'll be waiting for that answer that, okay, everything changed. So here are your hard questions, everyone. Before I show it to you again, let's get the drill going. Still solving is what you mark first. The poll is open. Only the people who mark still solving are my active participants, and only those will determine how long I give for any question. And that's how you're going to understand what is the majority going wrong at. It's a beautiful practice to understand what could go wrong with a question. If you see, oh, 60% people went with C, which is wrong, why would they do that? That faltering point will be a huge learning point for you. Okay. All right. So everybody who is active, I think, has marked still solving already. Now with this, I'm gonna open the first question for you, and here you go. Good luck. I'll be ending the poll in another 10 seconds. Please make sure you mark your answers before that time. Remember, the e-GMAT penalizes you more if you skip a question, if you don't mark an answer, more than you getting it wrong. So get into the habit right now that if we're running out of time, we still have to mark our answers. Let's build habits at every stage today. All right, the poll is closed now. I am going to bring in the next poll, which, as you know, will be for question number 9. This was question number 8, which we're going to come back to later. So here's the poll to question 9. Please mark still solving. Okay, here's question 9. Good luck. I'll be ending the poll in another 15 seconds. Lewis, the meeting started 16 minutes ago. Okay, thank you for your responses. Let me tell you, it was a very, very divided vote. I'm not going to show you what the responses were, but I had such mixed answers. Votes for everything A, B, C, D, E, everything. That shows confusion, and it's natural right now, but it will go after a while. Here's your next poll now for question number 10. You mark still solving, and I'll show you the question. All right, thank you for your votes. Here is number 10. Good luck, everyone. I'll be ending the poll in another 15 seconds. Please put in your answers before then. All right, the poll is closed now. I again have votes for every choice, A, B, C, D, E, and I still have a lot of people who are in the still solving block. That means they did not mark the final answer. Well, you have to get over that habit. In these three questions now, coming to the chat box, tell me, what did you feel? Everybody who said good earlier, decent and comfortable, or people who were already scared, everybody, whatever you said at the beginning of the session, what do you say now that you've seen these three hard questions? Are you as confident as you were? Do you feel a little shaken? I don't mean to scare you away. I just mean to say that this is what you will be able to do with as much confidence as you had before the session. Prabhat says more and more brush up. I think you were the one who said I need brushing up. So everybody read the responses that people are writing here. Read the chat box. So many answers have now changed to difficult, confused, no, I'm not confident. We had good responses earlier, right? MP says difficult for a beginner. Absolutely. This is just to show you where you are going to get, as I said. Shreya, that's a very nice point. Questions are not that tough, but you didn't know the right method, the strategic approach that I talked about. Without that, we always feel confused. Even if we might have the correct answer, if our method is not correct, we will not feel confident about marking that answer. You'll be like, okay, if I would just get one more thing or something that can just make me a little more sure, that'll keep happening. Now, remember this that you felt right now for these three questions and keep a note of what you marked right now, because we'll have to see how your answers change after going through the rest of the session. Okay, so everyone, I hope you're all excited about the next section that we're going into, where we're actually beginning. Tanvi says I switched between three options until I reached the final answer. Now, Tanvi, I don't know how confident you are about the final one, right? You might not be. That's what we have to build. So in the warm-up section, I'll have some basic questions on divisibility and remainders. So we'll start building all of this from the root level. We'll start building from the conceptual stage, and gradually I'll take you to the same three questions that you saw. You'll get feedback about what your current conceptual understanding is. So every question that you get wrong here in the warm-up section will tell you a conceptual gap that you have. So that'll be the first thing you will fix after the session. Okay, solutions, of course, you'll see all solutions here. So here now I'm going to bring in the first question. Let me just change the poll. This is going to be, now since these are basic questions, these are not going to be GMAT style. It's not like you are going to have all 5 choices like you have in any question. So the first few that you'll see, you will just have 3 choices. I'm just going to open the poll. You mark still solving, and we'll get started with this. Okay, good. I love the energy. You guys were not as quick earlier. All right, so warm up question number 1 coming your way. Your first chance to identify a conceptual gap. Good luck. Hemant, I think you joined late. Those 3 questions will be discussed at the end of the session because you're not even ready for them yet. This was to show you where you're going to get. Everybody, please focus on the question here. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, now we're going to discuss every question as you do it. Let me just broadcast the results for this. So here you go. The majority, a big majority, 80% of you went with choice B, that it's always divisible. Then 11% with maybe and 7% with not divisible. So, well, the correct answer here is B. So then the 18% of us, or let me just say 20%, because there were some who stayed in still solving, you have conceptual gaps here. So your gap is about how to check divisibility of any number by 3. Keep making notes. This is the first place I've told you something you have to work on. By the end of the session, you should all have a list, a proper list of what to work on. Now, if Z is a 3-digit number whose digits are consecutive numbers in increasing order, then what are the digits going to be? They're just going to be x, x plus 1, x plus 2. Now, divisibility rule of 3 says that an entire number will be divisible by 3 if the sum of its digits is divisible by 3. Now here, as I said, the digits are consecutive numbers x, x plus 1, x plus 2. Their sum, therefore, when you add all of this, is 3x plus 3. Now that is definitely divisible by 3. You can just see 3 comes out common. And since the sum is divisible by 3, the entire number here, Z, has to be divisible by 3. I hope everybody now is absolutely clear and has this noted down. I'm going to take you all to the next question now, which is, again, 3 choices. Please mark still solving. Okay, here's question number 2, everyone. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. All right, let me broadcast the results. Now this time, the vote is pretty interesting. There's almost a tie. I mean, well, C is the majority, yes, but A is a close follower, and then there is B. Now here again, a lot of you are going to find out where you lag. Let's discuss this and find it out. Z. Oh well, first of all, notice that A is the correct answer. So the majority this time is wrong. C is not the correct answer. So 38% of us have it right. 62% of us have a conceptual gap. And the gap is divisibility rule of 4. Make a note of that again. I can't stress enough on the fact that you have to learn at every step You have to take the feedback you're getting, collect all of that, work on that, and see the magic happen. Z is a 4-digit number. Digits are consecutive numbers. Again, the digits are, say, x, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3. I don't know what the digits are. The statements here are about divisibility by 4. Now, what is the divisibility rule? It's that the last 2 digits should be divisible by 4. You do not care about the first 2 digits. Only look at the number formed by the last 2 and you'll be done. Now see, 4 consecutive digits. Look at this number, 2, 3, 4, 5, because of which my last digit is odd. So if my last digit is odd, the entire number basically, Z is odd. And an odd number can never be divisible by 4. So this is where you have a no. No, Z is not divisible by 4. So people who marked C, you looked at something like this. But Z may be divisible by 4 as well. Let me show you a yes case. 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, consecutive numbers. What are the last 2 digits? What's the number formed? It's 56, and 56 is divisible by 4. So this entire number is divisible by 4. But that's still a maybe, because 1, 2, 3, 4 is another even number, and 34 is not divisible by 4. So this number is not. So it is divisible in some cases. It is not divisible in some cases. A perfect case of maybe. 62% of you missed this. Come on, everybody, into the chat box. Tell me about what happened in the first 2. You were really missing the concept. Just write yes. Just write why, if it's the concept that you were missing. I just care for that. You have, it's beautiful to start identifying conceptual gaps from the get-go. Because when I'll show you more and more questions, this is what I need you to remember. Tia says, did not read the question right, missed the may part. That means you didn't read the statements, the options right. But even then, Tia, if you didn't read it right, you should still have felt weird about writing not divisible. Because you know examples where it is divisible. That's when you go and recheck the question. Okay, what I'm getting does not make sense. Recheck it in that case. This is the very foundation. It has to be rock solid. We're going to build everything on this foundation. Saurabh says, I marked C, then switched to A. When you thought about the 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm glad you got there at least, Saurabh. That's good. This is the beginning. Good energy, everyone. 4x plus 6 could not be verified for more numbers of x. So you went the x plus 1, x plus 2 route. For you then, 4x plus 6, well, I can see 4x is for a multiple of 4 plus 6. That cannot be a multiple of 4. If you do this, you get this, you get x plus 15. Oh, okay, yeah. So you just saw 4x plus 6 is never going to be a multiple, so that's why you all went for no. 4x plus 3, 2. I'm just checking what Maya has written to see the calculation, which isn't a number, and I was confused. Yes, you know what you were doing, Prabhat and Maya? You were using the test that you just learnt for 3 on 4, the sum of the digits. It's a different test. Answer choices, like always, never, are strong answers, so one must be absolutely sure. Yes, Shreya. Even one choice that defies the answer can make you choose a different answer. That's so well summarized. Yeah, so a lot of you applied what you just learned from 3 on to 4. I never said it's the same. Anyway, good learning, everyone. I'm going to take you to the next question now. You can keep talking meanwhile. I'm going to bring in another poll here. This time you're going to have 4 choices coming up in a second. Just mark still solving to show me you're ready for this one. I hope the energy levels are higher now, that you see what you can get right at the beginning. Okay, still solving, more people? All right. Here's question 3. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. All right, so solution time. Here is how all of you voted. You can see that the majority went with C, 74%, and there were votes for A, B, D, and there were people in still solving as well. Well, the majority has got it correct. Congratulations. But 74 correct means 26 incorrect. So 26% of you, please put this in the list of your conceptual gaps. This time it's about being a multiple of 8, which has its own divisibility rule. The rule says it's similar to that of 4. It says that the last 3 digits should be divisible by 8. Now, if you right now look at the last 3 digits, it's 897. Now, 897 is not divisible by 8. How do I know? I can just quickly divide it and I will see it gives 1 as a remainder. That means it's not completely divisible. So what is the closest number which will be divisible? Well, if this number is giving me a remainder of 1, it means this number is 1 extra than a multiple. If this is 1 extra, then I just have to take that 1 away. So I just subtract 1, 896 in the end, rest of it staying the same. That is my answer. I hope this was absolutely clear. I'm going to show you the next question if you mark still solving. Glad you like this, Tanvi. Can we also use rule for 4? No, I'm talking about multiple of 8. Every number that's a multiple of 4 does not have to be a multiple of 8. The reverse is true, yes. Yeah, 2 to the power n it is, because 2 to the power 3 is 8, so it's the last 3 digits. 2 to the power 2 was 4, that's when it was the last 2 digits. Okay? Yeah. All right, still solving. I hope you don't get into the chat and forget about still solving completely. I'm waiting for a suitable number before I show you the next question. Okay, let's hold on the discussions and go to question 4. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. All right, here are your results. Again, 74%, the same number as last time. That's the percentage that D got. And we have very few votes for the other choices, but we do. Well, D is correct. So the remaining 26% of us, please listen very carefully to this. N leaves a remainder of 3 when divided by 204. What is the remainder when N, the same dividend, is divided by 4? Now this time I don't have the dividend. I can't actually divide and find the remainder, right? This is an interesting question. So what comes to our rescue here is this beautiful concept. Dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. It's something that you can verify by just doing a very simple division in your notebooks. Just do 15 divided by 2. You will see that 15 is the dividend, 2 is the divisor, the quotient will be 7, the remainder will be 1. They'll all always satisfy this equation. It's the DNR equation. If I use this equation to express my dividend in terms of the other things, this is what I'll have. N is equal to 204Q plus 3, where 204 here is the divisor, so I put it here. The quotient I don't know, I'm just calling it Q. The remainder is 3. What I want is what happens when n is divided by 4. Yet again, my dividend place is the same. It still stays n. The divisor is 4, the quotient is p, and r, the remainder, is what I want. Now, remainder has to be less than the divisor. So it has to be less than 4, because otherwise, why would I stop dividing? If my remainder is still big, I'll continue dividing, right? Now it's like an algebra question. This is one equation. This is another equation. You want to use the first one to get the second. I want n equal to 4 times something. I have 204 times something. I can always extract a 4 from this 204 because 204 is divisible by 4. So I can write 204q, just forget about the q for a while. It's 4 times 51q. Actually, I don't care about the 51 for now. It's like 4 times something. That is what becomes my P, right? So it's 4P, the entire 51Q. And so I can rewrite 204Q plus 3 as N is equal to 4P plus 3. So R, if you compare it with this one, R is 3. It is definitely less than 4, so it matches the condition, and I'm done. Tanvi says, I did n upon 203 is 3. Okay, so you took a number, Tanvi. No, it's not the wrong approach, but you will see as questions get harder, your approach will not help at all. So you have to learn to build this structured approach, this one method that's going to work in all kinds of questions, whatever be the difficulty. I hope everybody understood this question nice and clear. This is a relationship that I'm going to use throughout the rest of the session. So make sure you're very, very comfortable with this. You will have one relationship like this, you will want another one, and you'll try to extract what you want from what you have. We extracted a 4 from 204 and it perfectly matched. In case it won't be possible for me to explain again, please go into the Q&A pod, which is on the left of the chat pod, and ask your question. Anshuman will be helping you there. See you there. Okay. I will have to move on to the next question. Everyone, please mark still solving as I open the poll. Any questions that are still left, please go into the Q&A pod. Okay, here's question 5, everyone. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. All right, here is the result. Everybody who got confused the last time, you can use this question again. It's a very similar question. So, well, 76% of you have marked choice A, and that means 24% people just marked differently. The correct answer is choice A. So, good job, everyone. Let's discuss this. N, again, the dividend, leaves a remainder of 6 when divided by 205. I'm again going to use the DNR equation. My dividend is N. My remainder is 6, which is here. My divisor is 205 here. It's only the quotient that I don't know. I'm just calling it Q for now. Then my question is, what is the remainder when N, the same dividend, is divided by 5? So this time, again using the DNR equation, I'm writing N is equal to 5P plus R, where P is the new quotient and R is what I need to find out. Now, because the remainder is always smaller than the dividend, R has to be less than 5. Okay, now I am again going to use what I have, which is N equal to 205Q plus 6, to write what I want, which is 5P. So from a 205, I have to get 5. Very easy again. It's just like I extracted 4 from 204. I can always break 205 down as, you see, 5 times 41Q. So this 41Q becomes my P. So that way I'm going to get 205Q, sorry, N is equal to 5P plus 6 is what I'm going to get. So 6 is the remainder. Would you say that? No. So people, 8% of you who marked D, you stopped right here. You forgot about the condition that the remainder has to be less than the divisor. So 6 can't be the final answer. What do you do in such a case is, you take this remainder that you have and divide it one more time by your divisor. So divide 6 by 5 and your remainder is 1, and that is your final remainder, because 1 now is definitely less than 5, and you're done. Now tell me into the chat box, this is the end of the warm-up section. What do you guys feel about this? What is it that you did not know earlier? You have to make sure you're 200% clear in your concepts. I mean, anything that you got wrong in these 5 questions means there's a conceptual gap. So getting till the, the 700 stage requires you to be solid here. If you got anything wrong here, redo it. Tia feels good. Saurabh says it's a nice strategy to write remainder less than divisor. Yes, putting things on paper, it'll help you to, remember them. You won't lose sight of them. Eric says you cleared some haziness around my understanding. I'm glad to have done that, Eric. That's the goal today. The haziness has to soon turn into super clarity. Everyone, do we feel warmed up enough? Next thing you're going to go into is problem solving questions, which are slightly harder now. Tanvi likes this, easy to apply. Yeah, this is a very powerful result. It's so easy to apply, but you'll see how on the hardest of questions, this is what will take you through to the other side. $600 level problem solving questions coming up. You feel you are ready for this now? You feel confident? Already feel a little confidence, says Tanvi. Very good. Saurabh is charged up. Nice. Priyanka is ready. Good. Yeah, I love this energy, everyone. I am going to take you into the harder ones now. Now it's going to be proper GMAT style, and that's why the polls will now be your proper 5 question polls, 5 choice polls. Let me bring in one. Okay, this is 5 choices. The moment it's open, please mark still solving. Okay. Oh, that's a very fast increase. Question coming up very soon. Anybody else ready for the question? Mark still solving. I want you all to be able to affect the timing from here on. We're going into GMAT style questions now. Here's the first one. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, here are the results. 59%, that's the majority. It went with C, and that is correct. So 41% of us have this wrong. Let's discuss this properly. Well, m is a positive integer, and m over 30 is 8.2. What is the remainder when m is divided by 15? Now, the thing is, it's different this time from how we had it the first time. The first time was a certain statement that directly led us to the DNR equation, but now this looks like slightly different information. M by 30 is 8.2. I can't really see what's happening, but just a little rearrangement and you'll see everything. So you can write m as 30 times 8.2. Now don't do the multiplication and then find the remainder. Do this. Split the 8.2 into 8 and 0.2. 30 times 8 is one thing and 30 times 0.2 is 6. So this way you'll see you have the DNR equation, which is 30 times 8 plus 6. Okay, and your goal is to write it as m equal to 15p plus r. So instead of having 30, I want 15. Again, very easy to extract. I could extract 4 from 204, 5 from 205. I can also extract 15 from a 30. I can rewrite my 30 as 15 times 2. If I write 15 times 2, the rest of it becomes my quotient, and this 6 of course is 6. You compare it with this and the remainder is 6. Perfectly matches the condition that the remainder has to be less than 15. Okay? This time, the R that you had already meets the condition that the remainder has to be less than 15. So we didn't need any extra work here. I think that's where you got confused, Eric. We only go one step forward if the remainder is greater than the divisor. Why would you do it otherwise? You're through otherwise. All right, with this then, good everyone. I'm going to take you to the second question. The poll is open. Please mark still solving. Okay, higher level of participations, come on. Waiting for 3 more seconds for more people to come into still solving. Here's number 2. Good luck. Ten more seconds. Okay, the accuracy is prettier this time. You have 85% people saying it is C, and then that means 15% people are confused about this. C is the correct answer, so good job everybody. Let's see what's happening here. It's the same as the first question, very similar really. So m by 15 is 8.2. I'm just writing this as m is 15 times 8.2, and I'm going to separate 8 and 0.2 from this. So this part is going to become what? The 3 that I had, and 15 times 8 is here. Now the goal is to have the divisor as 30. So from 15 times 8, I have to get 30. Very easy. 30 is just 15 times 2. So this 8 is going to give me a 2. It's going to become 2 times 4. So that way, if I write 15 times 2 times 4, that just goes into the P. I have 30 times 4 plus 3. My remainder does meet the condition that it is less than the divisor, and so the remainder is 3. I hope everybody understood this perfectly this time. It was a very, very similar question. The third one that I'm going to bring in is slightly more exciting. You'll have a little more to think of. So if you understood these well, you're going to enjoy that one. Mark still solving to this poll on the third question. Can't we solve by equalizing the denominator and getting a value for m? Yeah, you can get a value for m and then solve it. That's not the fastest way to do it. That's not the efficient way of doing it. Everyone, please mark still solving, and I'll be showing you the next question. All right, here's question 3, a slight twist to the previous questions. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, let me share the results. 83% of you went with E, and E is correct. The accuracy is pretty good now, so you're really getting a hang of what you're doing. So m is a positive integer and m by 15 is 9.2. If you do the split the same way, you get 15 times 9 plus 3. But you want the divisor to be 30. Now last time what happened was 15 times 8 gave you that 2 that you wanted, right, to make a 30. But this time 9 can't give it to you. And I hope you didn't do 2 times 4.5 to get that 9, because these dividend, divisor, quotient, remainder, they have to be integers. So what we do in such a case is, how do I get that 2? I need an even number for that. I'll split my 9 into 8 plus 1. And that way what I have is 15 times 8 plus the rest of it, which is 18 together. Now this 15 times 8 is capable of giving me the 30 that I wanted. 15 times 2, and P becomes 4, so R is 18. And since 18 is also less than 30, I don't have to do any extra work. 18 itself is the remainder that I was looking for. And the correct answer is choice E. I'm so proud of you people for having done this question correctly, despite the little twist, and that too with a better accuracy than you people started this topic with. This is what it means to build on your learning. This is just an overview of the 3 questions you saw. The first two were straightforward. The third one was where you had to do a little extra work and you proved that you can do it. I'm going to take you therefore to your next level, the hard ones. But before that, let me tell you what it takes to score a Q50. What do you need? You need clarity in your concepts that you built in the warm-up stage. You need process skills, the skills to translate what the question is giving into what you want. The previous questions where, when n is divided by this, that is the remainder, it was all English. You translated it into an equation, the DNR equation. That brought English to math. It was a process skill. GMAT skill finally is when you get ready for GMAT-like questions. That happens when your concepts are solid, when you know how to apply your process skills. Then GMAT is not too difficult for you. It's not difficult. It's only about doing things the right way. Now the course, the e-GMAT course, has diagnostic. When you begin every single module, here is a snapshot of how the divisibility and remainders module looks on the course. That's what we're doing today, right? So if you see these two activities, 4.1 and 4.2, these are both diagnostic quizzes. The first one is a GMAT skill diagnostic. So this is like, how would I do on the GMAT if I go today? How prepared am I? The second one is a concept diagnostic quiz. That's only going to test you on your concepts. Now let me ask you all a question. You're all going to go into higher studies, into MBAs, and you have to have that analytical level of thinking. Tell me, if I score very well on a concept diagnostic quiz and I don't score well on a GMAT diagnostic quiz, what am I lacking? Come into the chat box. Tell me, what am I lacking if my concept, yes, Saurabh, process skills. Yeah. Oh, wow. You're also smart. That was pretty quick. You're ready for MBA, by the way. This is good. That's what you miss. Your foundation, your concepts are there. But when it comes to GMAT questions, you miss it. That means you're either lacking GMAT skills or process skills. Now, GMAT skills technically are when multiple concepts, multiple process skills come together. Process skills are used in every part of a question, translating it, visualizing it, making diagrams, writing down examples. Those are skills. But those skills, when they combine with the concepts, you become GMAT ready. So this is what you get from the very first two activities that you do on the course. You'll know so much about yourself. Then this concept quiz, for example, you do well most of it, but you do some questions wrong. The system will tell you, the thing that you've done wrong is because this concept you don't know. I've been telling you those things today based on what you did wrong in the concept quiz, right? In the warm-up quiz. The course will tell you that. It'll say, okay, this concept is weak for you, say units, digits, just do this one, just do 4.9. So you don't have to do every single concept. Your concept diagnostic makes you eligible to skip some concepts if you're anyway good with them. So that's the level of feedback you're going to get. These files now that you see highlighted, these are process learning files. You'll learn process skills here. Learning activity, practice quiz, activities. So you see 4 activities dedicated to building your process skills. And then come GMAT skills when you finally get into GMAT style questions. This progressive learning, this manner is the best way to learn content. You keep building up on what you know. It's not very, disjointed chunks of learning. This is what Quant 2.0 is all about. It's going to take you to your Quant 49 plus score. It's for everyone, for a novice, for a pro. Everybody has content here. It's just about what you need to do from the course. You don't have to do everything. Look at this chart from Jan 1 through May 31 on GMAT Club. This is Q49 plus scores. Just look at how e-GMAT has 55 of these and all other test prep companies are less than half. The closest is also less than half, and then the others are really, really low. The numbers here, the data here talks what I'm saying. It tells you way more than my words can tell you. Data tells beautiful stories. And now this is for all of it. This is not just quant. This is for the whole of it, Jan 21 through July 21, the entire exam, 700 plus scores. We have 104 of those reported, and look at the difference. I'm just going to talk about e-GMAT today. You can see the difference for yourself. This now, all of you, just answer. Come in the chat box, tell me, what's your current quant score? Okay, 35 through 42, somewhere there. We have a lot of people in twos, 43 to 47, mid to 23, 23, 23 mainly. There are two people in fours, which is, okay, three people, 48, 49. That's very good to see. 2, 3, 2, 3. So mainly I see a lot of 2 and 3s. Wherever you are, the course gives you a unique solution, because I hope you understand, you people will not have the same path. Somebody who's already at a 49 and somebody who's at a 35, you think they should study the same way? They should study the exact same content? No, right? It's a no-brainer. We have to have our own paths, our own solutions. How are you going to get that? Look, I'm just going to talk about the number properties course. Just forget about everything else. This is what we're doing today, so I'll talk about this. There are 106 activities in number properties, which is actually 50 hours of content for somebody who does the whole thing. But not everybody has to do the whole course. If it's a Q30 student, yes, you need all activities. You will need to do the whole thing. But if you're a Q45 student, you need just 40 activities. Just see how much it reduced. If you're a Q49 student, you need just 16 activities. Just see the amount of decrease here. That's how the course is for every student. Different needs, different activities, different courses. We're not going to ask you all to do the same thing. It's all depending on your ability. You need different courses. So don't worry that you have to do so much. You don't know where you're starting. Every module has a diagnostic, and that will tell you what you need, what you don't need, what you're already ready for, what you have to build on. It's a personalized course for everyone based on this architecture, the expert architecture. Again, you start with the diagnostics, as I said, 2-layer diagnostic, GMAT skill, concepts, then your process skill, your concepts, everything has a level to it. So total 50 hours of content refines into whatever is needed for you. There are 6 modules in number properties. Every module can be done in 5 ways. If I think about, what you're eligible to skip, what you have to do that way. So that way, for 6 modules, 5 parts, you use permutation, combination. It's 15,625 different courses. So I can actually offer unique courses to 15,625 people. Just understand the magic of that. It's super, super specific to your needs. Now, how would you know you've excelled? Would you just keep going from one activity to another? No, you're going to get feedback. The feedback that you're getting today in the session is a trailer of all of that. You get feedback every 10 minutes into the course. You finish an activity, you have feedback. You finish something more, you have feedback. That personalized feedback, if you take the right way. Now, right now, I had to ask you to make a note. Make a note of your conceptual gap, make a note of your conceptual gap. There, now you'll have everything in front of you. Your course will be just about you, right? That's what feedback does. You'll see scores like this. I have 100% on these, I have 40% on this. So you know when you see this, okay, I have a problem on this activity. Scores like that. You get feedback like that continuously. You access a concept, you complete a concept. We see the time you spend on that concept, not just opening it. You see how long you spent on it. And even after all of that, if your score is below threshold, you get across there. So every aspect is evaluated, every single piece. You might have learned something perfectly, you might need selective revision, or you might need to redo something. You will get that level of granular feedback. This is where Varun talks about his experience. He got a GMAT 740, which is Q49. He says the architecture optimized the course for the very short time he had. Now, it especially becomes important when you're short on time. You can't do everything. You have to do what you have to do. The system is going to tell you do this, don't do that. This is what's going to take you to your score. Anant at a GMAT 750. That's a dream score for so many of us, right? This now, he says, the diagnostics told me what he had to do, what he didn't have to do. It told him that algebra geometry was his weaker spot. So he left arithmetic, he focused here. And see the magic, he got 750. So the right feedback at the right time does it. Now here's a better score, 760. The quant course cleared her concepts and taught her how to apply them on GMAT questions. We also did concepts today, now we're applying them on GMAT questions. It's this journey that you go on through the course. With all of this now, everybody, I hope that this gave you a small break between questions and you're all pumped up for the next set of questions. It's going to be problem solving questions where these are going to be 700 plus level. So you have to be absolutely comfortable with this concept that we saw. Dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. We are going to build slightly more on this understanding now. We're back into the quant side of it, and then we'll do some questions. So a little more of exercise building. So come on, everyone, interact and tell me whenever you get confused. Here's a very, very powerful set of slides. Look at this example. What is the remainder when 31 plus 43 is divided by 7? One way of doing this is you add 31 and 43. Then you find the remainder. So 74 divided by 7. You're going to get your remainder that way. The other method is, instead of adding these, find individual remainders. 31 divided by 7 and 43 divided by 7. And add those individual remainders, 3 and 1. You're going to get 4 both ways. The answer is going to be the same both ways. And if you see, none of these methods is like, one of them is very fast, one of them is very slow. So either method is good. But say this is the question, 31 times 43 divided by 7. Now method 1 was where you actually multiply it and then divide by 7, you will get the remainder as 3. While the second method, you individually find their remainders, the same ones, of course, 3 and 1 you will get, and multiply the remainders. You get 3. Since 3 is less than the divisor 7, this is the remainder and you're done. Now, it doesn't take, too much effort to see which method is better. Multiplying those 2-digit numbers, then finding the remainders is definitely not the best way. This is so powerful. Every time you have addition, you have multiplication, you can separately compute the remainders and then bring in whatever operation was there between your original numbers. It's as simple as that. This is the rationale behind why this works. You can just see this quickly here. I'm going to show you for 3143 the sum first. Using the DNR equation, I can write both of them this way with dividend 7. Add this, add the right sides also. You will eventually be able to express it as 7 times 10 plus 4. So remainder is 4, which came from 3 plus 1, where 3 and 1 were the immediate, the individual, the respective remainders. Same thing you can see for multiplication also. Individual remainders were 3 and 1. When you multiply 31 times 43, you just multiply their right hand sides, these also. It simplifies to 7 times something, I'm just calling it P, plus 3 times 1, which were the individual remainders. And you have the remainder as 3. It's so powerful, believe me. If you use this, you'll see the time taken to solve questions will go down by a huge amount. How many of you knew this? Just write Y if you already knew this. Write P if you can realize the power this has. And write, so let's have these two. Come on. Yeah, you can see some of you knew this. Oh, wow. There's so many P's. You can see the power of this. Yes. Okay. This is very interesting. When I first learned this, honestly, I was thrilled. I was excited to use this. This was years back. I'm going to bring in the next poll now, question number 4, where I want you to apply this that you just learned. Okay, so let's remove the third question. Here's question number 4. You know the drill. You have to mark still solving first. Okay, here's question number 4. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, this is an interesting vote. Look, A has 44% votes, C has 33% votes, and B is 14%. D is negligible, E no votes at all. So A and C, I can see some confusion here, and B also has some votes. What's happening? What is the remainder when this is divided by 3? So there's a multiplication. You just saw this powerful result that you could find individual remainders and then, multiply them. After all of that, 0 is what you should have gotten had you done this the right way. C, I want people to write down in the chat box how they got C. The easier way to do this, though, despite all of that powerful result, was 24 is anyway divisible by 3. So if 24 is divisible by 3, its power has to be divisible by 3. The whole thing, 24 multiplied by anything in the world, has to be divisible by 3. And if it is divisible by 3, the remainder is 0. It was a 10-second question. That's all that you needed for this one. For people who marked A, tell me if you saw this, your basic conceptual understanding, or did you use the result? You saw 0 to the power 3 multiplied by 2 to the power 5, and then you got 0. Shrish did not read the question properly. That's a big problem. And this is the one that makes me very sad. This is such a careless mistake, such an avoidable mistake. If only we read things properly. Rafia says, I saw 24. Saw 24, that means you use this idea, right? That it has to be 0 directly. Lily, I factorized the 24. Why would you break 24 further? 24 itself is divisible. Even in the method that we just talked about previously, we didn't have anything to factorize the numbers. MP did the 2 to the power 5 thing. So a lot of you did miss the basic fact that if 24 is already divisible, you're there. Yeah, Saurabh, you wrote 0. 0 remainder as 1. Oh, 0 remainder as 1. For some reason, Eric treated multiplication as addition. What some reason? It's just carelessness. You have to be super careful. Well, okay, this one is an eye-opener that we should stick to our roots. We should remember to use basic ideas. I am going to open another poll now. Question number 5. Just mark still solving. You can meanwhile keep talking, of course. Let's see. Saurabh got product 2 because, yeah, the first one gave you a 1 instead of a 0 that it was. Here's the poll to the 5th question. The poll is open. Please mark still solving. Be careful, everyone. This was just the first one. It was for starters. Let's see. We have to be more careful now. Okay, good votes. Quick votes. Here's number 5. Good luck. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. All right, here's the result. 72% went with C, then 14% with B. So those are the only two where we have votes, enough votes. C is the correct answer though, the majority is correct. So out of 28% who got this wrong, half of them went with B. We really have to understand what is it about B that's getting them there. So 25 times 38 to the power 3, it's again, power 3 really means what? It's multiplying the same thing with itself 3 times. So I can find the remainder inside and then raise that to the third power, right? And within the parentheses also, if it's multiplication, I'll find individual remainders and then multiply them. So 25, the remainder is going to be 1 when I divide that by 3. And for 38, the remainder is going to be 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. And 2 to the power 3 is 8. But 8 is greater than the divisor 3. So I have to do it one more time. I'll divide 8 by 3. It'll be 3 2s are 6 plus 2. So overall the remainder is 2. So people who marked B, come into the chat box, tell me why you got 1, how you got 1. Did you just do 1 times 1 for 38? Let's make this something that everybody can learn by. It's going to be a big faltering point then. Tell me what happened. 5 times 8 is 40. Oh, so Amit, you actually found 40 by multiplying the last two digits and then you'll find the remainder. Oh no, you have some conceptual gap here. We have nothing here that we have discussed till now where we find the units digit of this number inside. You found the units digit to be 0 and that's how you proceeded, but that's not how we're finding remainders. This is an overview of the two questions we saw, addition, multiplication. You can separate them. This overview, after this now, let's go into one more magical thing, negative remainders, and see how this is going to make calculations faster. Now, well, remainders are really what's the extra that's left out. So technically extras can't be negative. I can't say I'm left with minus $2. I have to be left with $2. So by definition, remainder has to be greater than equal to 0, non-negative. And it has to be less than divisor. So we know that. Negative remainders don't exist as the final answer, but these are things that you use during calculations to simplify your calculations manyfold. It becomes very, very simple once you use them. So first of all, you have to understand what they are, what negative remainders even are. So look at this simple example. I'm dividing 5 by 2. Okay, the remainder is 1 because I can see it this way, 2 times 2 plus 1. But there's also another way in which you can see the negative remainder. 5 is 2 times 3 minus 1 also. So while plus 1 is the usual remainder that we talk about, minus 1 is a negative remainder. So in this case, 2 times 2, you took the smaller multiple, the number which is smaller than 5 as the multiple. Here you took 6, which is the next number. You took that as the multiple. These are negative remainders. Another example, I'm dividing 8 by 3. So usually when we talk about the remainder, it's 2. 3 times 2 plus 2. Negative remainder is where instead of taking the second multiple of 3, you take the third multiple of 3, the next one. So it will be 3 to the power 3 minus 1. So this minus 1 again is the negative remainder. So in general, negative remainders, positive remainders, both can be used, but there are some situations you will see in which negative remainders will make calculations faster, which won't even be possible if you have positive remainders only. But since negative remainders are not defined, ultimately you have to convert them back to positive remainders. For that, you should be able to see the relationship between negative and positive remainders. How can you do the conversion? Well, very simple really. Your negative remainder, if you add the divisor to it, it becomes the positive remainder. So look at minus 1, add the divisor 2 to it. Minus 1 plus 2, it will become 1. Same story here, negative 1, add the divisor 3, negative 1 plus 3, it will become the positive remainder. So that's how you can finally get the positive remainder. This is some manipulation you can go through when you get the PDF of the session and the recording. This is ultimately what we're just proving here. Okay, with this concept now, we'll go into the next question where you will apply negative remainders also. You already saw what happens when it's sum and when it's product, that you can break it down. Now you will also use negative remainders. So your sixth question is coming up. Mark still solving first of all to show me you're ready. It's here. The poll is open. Go on. Okay, here's question 6. Good luck. Use everything you've learned. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Okay, here are your results. 68% votes for D, 15% for C, 9% for B. So, well, D got the majority of the votes, but 32% of us are still scattered. D is the correct answer though. Let's see. 24 is what you should have seen the moment it came, because this was very similar to a question you saw that again you don't need to think about 24. When 24 itself is divisible by 3, then that multiplied with anything will also be divisible by 3. So this entire part is going to give you remainder 0. It's only 17 to the power 7 that you had to work with. Now if I didn't have any negative remainder concept here, then 17 divided by 7, the remainder is 2. I would have 2 to the power 7 in that case, which is big. And then I would have to work on that because 2 to the power 7 can't be the remainder. It's way huge than the divisor 3. I would have to do it again then, divide that number by 3. For which I would have to first find 2 to the power 7. I have to know that the value is 128 and then do it. But negative remainders will help me avoid all of that. The negative remainder in this case is -1. When I do -1 to the power 7, it stays -1. 7 is an odd number. But since I can't leave my final remainder negative, what do? How do I convert it to positive? Negative remainder can be made positive if you just add the divisor to it. So -1 plus 3 is 2, and the final remainder is 2, and we're done. For everyone who marked 1, I think it was this -1 to the power 1. You just saw -1, it just became 1 for you. Something you just missed, or you just thought 17 by 3 itself is going to give you 1 as a remainder, so 1 to the power 7 is 7. There's some gap in how you're applying this. Okay, I hope you're now clear with what this is, because next question again, you'll be able to use the same thing then. So tell me if there are any concerns. Otherwise, we're going to go into question number 7. Meanwhile, let me change the poll. You can write in any questions you have till then. Question number 7 coming your way. Please mark still solving while I read comments. I marked B for literally moving the mouse too fast. Okay. Why the hat 7 does not count in 17 by 3? Hat 7, well, the power 7 is what is 7? What is the power? It means 17 times 17 times 17 times 17. You're multiplying 17 with itself 7 times. And you saw that when it is multiplication, you don't actually have to multiply all of those numbers. You can find remainders of each of them and multiply the remainders. So that's why the multiplication was happening 7 times. That means you found the remainder and then you multiply the remainder with itself 7 times. It's not that the dividend itself was that, right? It's an easier way to solve it. It is a part of the dividend, 17 to the power 7, but we saw that instead of dividing this power of 17 by 3, we can just divide 17 by 3. Get the remainder in each case and then raise that to the 7th power. That is what we did in the concepts. 17, 3 times 5 plus 2, incorrect? No, MP, that's not incorrect. I said you can use 2 as the remainder, but then there would be further processing required. You would have 2 to the power 7, which then you will have to write as 128. Then you will have to divide it by 3. You're bypassing all of that here. And 2 to the power 7 also, I knew it's 128. What if it's really, really big? What if it's 2 to the power 35? What will I do then? I won't be able to do it, right? So negative remainders are going to help me there. Okay, meanwhile, I see people have marked still solving. I'm going to get you to the 7th question, everyone. Good luck. Okay. Ending the poll in 5 seconds. Okay, sorry, I missed to stop broadcast while you were doing it, but I hope that you still did it how you should have done it. The correct answer is E. Yes, let's discuss this. Again, the first part just vanishes. 24 is already divisible by 6, so the remainder from that part is 0. It's only about this part, 17 to the power 7, being divided by 6. And again, it just means 17 is being multiplied with itself 7 times. I can find the remainder in each case and then put the power. This time, if you take the positive remainder 5, just think about computing 5 to the power 7 and then doing that division by 6. It's not going to work. Negative remainder though, which is just minus 1, will be very simple to work with. I'll have minus 1 to the power 7, which is minus 1. I'll just convert it to the positive version by adding the divisor to it. So minus 1 plus 6, which is 5, and I'm done. So the accuracy was very high, maybe for two reasons. One, that the broadcast was happening throughout the poll, and two, because you're actually getting better. So everyone, this is an overview of questions 6 through 7. After this, we are going to go into the first 3 hard questions that we did. Tell me, how do you feel now? Do you feel ready about those questions? Do you think you've grown through the session till here? A lot more you know now, confidence-wise, concepts-wise, skill-wise. Do you feel ready for those hard questions now? Yeah, Saurabh, negative remainders is beautiful. Tia, yes, I should be able to do them. That's good. It's a pleasure, Rafia. Okay, I'm so glad to see this. This confidence, I hope we all just come out on the other side with happy results, with positive results. What you see on the screen right now, let me broadcast the results. This is how you people had voted for the 8th question the first time. Just remember the percentages. Of course, I'm going to remember them for you. You don't have to memorize anything. But we want to see how whatever changes here. So I'm going to clear this poll, reopening this for you to mark still solving. Let's have a few more people marking still solving. I'm going to show you the question when I have enough people here. Okay, now that looks good. Here's the question again. Trust yourself. Put everything that you've learned till here. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Here are the results, everyone. I don't know how many of you remember what you saw the first time, but A had 44% votes when we first did this. And now A has 66% votes, and A is the correct answer. The accuracy has gone up hugely. 44 to 66 is beautiful. Well, I like how it's multiples of 11 both ways. We had 28% people with C last time, and now it's 20% people. So fewer people are making that mistake. We had 8% in E, now just 3% in E. So all of those people who were confused earlier have gone into the correct choice, which is A. And that's wonderful. Every one of you who made the switch from B, C, D, E to A, be proud of yourself. And people who stayed with A, of course, be proud of yourself. This is wonderful. Let's discuss this for everyone who's still confused. Let's see, and you should all be with me when we go to the 9th question. We want to find the remainder when P is divided by M and M is greater than 1. P is M plus 1 to the power 8 and M is 8. That's the second statement. Well, the remainder that I'm trying to find from the first statement, if you see, I'm dividing M plus 1 to the power 8 by M. Now I know in remainders, I don't have to do all of this power business, all of this multiplication before I get the remainders. I can find individual remainders first, and then I can raise them to whatever power it is. So I'll find the remainder when M plus 1 is divided by M, and I'll then raise it to the 8th power. Now M plus 1 divided by M, no matter what M is in the world, every time M plus 1 is divided by M, the remainder is 1. Except of course if M is 1. Because then 2 divided by 1 will be no remainder. So that's why they've said it's not 1. In every other case, the remainder is 1. And 1 to the power 8 is 1. This is why the first statement alone is sufficient. The second statement gives you nothing. It just gives you 8 as M. They're saying P is divided by 8. What is the remainder? You don't even know P. You don't know what the remainder, what the dividend is, right? For people who mark D, I think you subconsciously just dragged the first one into the second one. You thought, okay, you still know it, but you don't. Make sure you keep these very, very independent. You don't drag information from one into the other. Right? So with this now, we're happy to see the accuracy. Let's go to question number 10. Tell me how you feel about this one, everyone who changed their answers, while I get the next poll. Talk to me in the chat box. Saurabh marked A earlier, took 2+ minutes, this time 40 seconds. Wow, Saurabh. That's so nice to hear. Which helps building confidence. I'm confident. I feel that the applications are far harder. Yeah. I'm glad you could do this, that it is meant to build confidence, that I can do the hardest questions now. I did not do the first statement properly the first time, but this time it helps. That's so nice to hear, Ankesh. And I remember you were struggling with another concept earlier, but you coming till here doing this question, it's such a nice improvement. Can we imagine? No, I would never suggest using numbers to do questions. Numbers is not a sure approach. Tia marked C the first time and took so much less time this time to get to A. That's wonderful. That's beautiful, everyone. Let's see this and repeat this in the next question also. Look at the poll. I'm sharing the results on the screen. I'm showing you how you people voted for question 9 the first time. I told you then, I don't know if you remember, it was a super confused vote. A, B, C, D, E, everything has votes. So it has a lot of scope for improvement. Of course, you don't know what the correct answer is. This time now, I'll remember this for you. You mark still solving. Let's see how many of us go into the correct choice now. All right, here's number 9. Good luck. Ending the poll in 15 seconds. You guys are going beautifully. I'll tell you what the results are. Trust yourself, go in. Look at this. Now let me tell you. You saw what I showed earlier about how you people had voted the first time? We had 20% votes for A, which was the correct answer, by the way. The accuracy was 20%, and now it's 59%. 3 times the accuracy that it was. It's beautiful. It's just so lovely to see this happen. I don't know how you people are feeling. I would have been very happy to be on the other side. N is a positive integer. What's the remainder when 38 to the power n squared is divided by 13? So this is the remainder we want. You know you can take care of powers later on. You can just divide 38 by 13 first and then put the power n squared. Now the remainder, the positive remainder is 2. The negative remainder is minus 1. Much easier to use the negative remainder. Whenever it's I'm sorry, I got cut off, I think. Whenever it's powers, it's much better to have minus 1 instead of having a 2 or any bigger number. Now, this is the remainder, which depends on the power, n squared, right? If n is odd, n squared is also odd, then it'll be minus 1 to the power something odd. Remainder will be minus 1. But I can't leave my final remainder as minus 1. I have to add the divisor 13 to it. So my final remainder here will be 12 if n is odd. But if n is even, then n squared is also even. And minus 1 to the power even is 1. This is already positive, so this would be the final remainder. So you see the remainder that I'm after is different depending on what n is. This is a question stem analysis that we've done, so detailed that when you get into the statements, there won't be anything much to do. There won't be much left to do, really. You've done most of the work here. Look at statement 1 now. N leaves no remainder when divided by 4. So that means n is a multiple of 4, no? That means n is even. If it is even, you're definitely into case 2. You have a definite answer, your remainder is 1, and that is what you were looking for, the remainder. Statement 1 is sufficient. Anyway, then B, C, E, these choices are out. So people who've marked C and E, 26% of you missed this part. Understand what happened here. Why could you not do this? Statement 2 says that square root of n is divisible by 1 and itself only. What is a number which is divisible only by 1 and itself? It's a prime number. So square root of n is a prime number, which means n is the square of a prime number. Now that could be 2 squared, 3 squared, 5 squared, anything. If it's 2 squared, it would be even. In every other case, it'll be odd. That means I'm not sure what my n is. It could be even, it could be odd. So my remainder could be 12, it could be 1. I'm not sure. That's why statement 2 is out. It's eliminated. And the correct answer is choice A. Tell me, did you understand this? Get into the chat box. I am very happy to see the accuracy, by the way, but everybody who still didn't get this, are we comfortable with what happened here? Ankesh, the second statement, we're just seeing that n can be both even or odd because it's just nothing but the square of a prime number. Yes, got it. Crystal, 100% clear. These are very nice ways of saying how clear it is. Very good. Very comfortable, says Eric. Great job, everyone. We're going into the last question now, the 10th one. I will first show you how you solved it the first time, how you voted. Shreya says, understood it completely. I'm very sure while marking my answers. Wow. That's the confidence. This confidence when somebody takes into the exam room, half of the battle is won. Confidence, I think, is super important in an exam like this. If you doubt yourself, if you just, keep thinking, okay, what am I doing? Am I doing it correct or not? You'll do things that you know also incorrectly. Priyanka, we have only one answer. Two possibilities are there, but statement 1 makes it only case 2, which gives us one possibility. That's why statement 1 is sufficient. Look at the screen now. I'm sharing how you people voted for question 10. It's again a divided vote. The majority had gone for choice D, 42%. We don't know that's correct or not, by the way, but yeah, it's a confused vote. This time, now that I'm opening the poll, let's see how you people vote. I'm opening the poll. Mark still solving first. Let's have enough people. Mark still solving. I see someone marking choice A. You don't even know the question yet. Please stay in still solving only. Here's question number 10, everyone. All the very best. Ending the poll in 15 seconds. Okay, the results are there. 42% went with D the first time, 61% this time, and D is the correct answer. A is still confusing people, I see. That means for all people who marked A, 15% of you, it was the second statement that confused you. You thought that the second one was insufficient. So you have to focus more on the second statement. For everyone who marked C or E, you missed it the most. So listen to the solution very, very carefully. There is a situation, we're dividing 4m by 16, the dividend is 4m, the divisor is 16, you want the remainder. So this is how we've expressed it. And m is what? It's a positive integer greater than 1. Could be 2, 3, 4, anything. Now, if I write this in the DNR equation form, then this is what I want. 4m is equal to 16q plus r, and r is the remainder that I'm looking for. And r has to be less than the divisor, because that's how the definition works. The remainder has to be greater than equal to 0 and less than the divisor. So that way then I can write it this way, since my divisor is 16, so it has to be less than equal to 15. That's the maximum it can be. Now, the first statement tells me that m leaves a remainder of 4 when divided by 32 to the power 32. So this is how I can express it in the DNR equation. Now look, what I want is 4m. What I have is m. It's so easy, I can just multiply this by 4 to get 4m. That will give me 4m is equal to 4 times 32 to the power 32k plus 4 times 4, which will be 16. Now, since I want 16q, I want 16 times something, I have to extract a 16 out of this. Prabhat, there's some problem with your network, I think. Just try joining again. So how do I get 16 from here? I have 4 already. I just need one more 4. Well, it's a no-brainer. You can see 32 to the power 32. I have so many 32s. I can take out a 4 from one of them, right? I will be able to extract 16. And the rest of it, whatever is it, just call it P. What you will have on the other side is 4 times 4, 16. So it's 16P plus 16, which is 16 times P plus 1. Compare it with this. P plus 1 becomes your Q. The remainder is just 0, and the first statement is sufficient. So most of you could do this. Again, I would talk to the 17% people who've marked C or E. You missed the first statement. Just see what happened here, why you missed it. Second statement. In the second statement now, m to the power 3 is divisible by 16. Now m to the power 3 divisible by 16, just see, it just means m cube has a 2 in it. If it has 16, it has a 2 in it. It's a certain power of 2 in fact. That means m itself, the positive integer m, itself has a 2 in it. So look at how I've written the prime factored form of m here. So I don't know what the other, prime factors are, but I'm sure of 2. 2 to the power a times the rest of them. p1 to the power b, p2 to the power c, so on. Now if this is m, I can easily get m cube from this. How? I'll cube both sides. Left side will become m to the power 3. Right side, every power will get multiplied by 3. So a will become 3a, b will become 3b, c will become 3c, and so on. Now I know m cube has a 16 in it, which means 2 to the power 3a has to have 2 to the power 4 in it, which means the power that I have here, 3a, has to be at least 4. 3a is greater than equal to 4. It's an inequality. So a is greater than equal to 4 by 3, which is 1 point something. And if a is an integer, what is the smallest it can be? Greater than 1 point something? It has to be 2. So at the very least, it has to be 2 to the power 2 here in m, right? Let's see how we're using it. Use this step here to come here. M is equal to 2 to the power 2 times something. So if m has a 4 in it, 4m will have a 16 in it because you're giving it an extra 4, right? So if 4m is a multiple of 16, the remainder has to be 0. And so the second statement is also sufficient, and the correct answer is choice D. Okay, this was a wonderful question, and again, like in the other two questions, your accuracy did go up greatly. So very well done, everybody. Tell me how you feel this entire journey. How was this for you? Come in the chat box. Do you feel yourself growing? Do you feel that you're at a better place than you were in the beginning? That'll be the real victory. That'll be when we'll say the session was helpful. Yes, you have to feel that growth on your own without me saying it. You should be able to see, okay, I could not do it earlier, I can do it now. Definitely, says Saurabh. Exclamation marks have a power, you know, they can show the feeling that one writes with. I use them quite a lot. So your next steps for everyone, everybody who's here to get to a Q49 plus, go one step at a time. Go one step at a time. If you're a Quant 2.0 student already at e-GMAT, go through the course. Do the course properly, follow the recommendations, follow the feedback, follow the structure, master your process skills, then your GMAT skill files, after, of course, doing the, the concept foundation. Priyanka, I'll just share a link here, a link for the free trial to the session. You can start that and you will find a lot about how to do the rest of it. Okay, let me find out the link. You will also get the PDF to the session. So for everybody who will want to do this again, I'm sharing a few links here. Look at this link. This is one that tells you about process skills, which are so important. It's also a link to the Quant 2.0 course, Priyanka. This is how the course looks. This is number properties, the 6 modules I talked about. Free trial users, take the free trial. Make most use of this. You'll see how you will be able to appreciate and you'll be able to understand if this entire structure is working for you in the free trial also. That's so sweet of you. He's advising everyone to enroll in the e-GMAT course. Enrolled for 1.5 months. It's brilliant. I'm just not taking her name. I'm scared I might pronounce it wrong, but I highly value what you're writing. Evaluate whether the style fits you and then consider purchasing the full course. The free trial users will get the DNR course, the DNR module. The rest of the modules you will not get, but this module you will get, the one that you have in the session today. Our goal is just to change all of your lives, to make you closer to your GMAT score, your target GMAT score. I hope you liked the session. Tell me how you felt about it while I share a few more useful links. Tell me, how did you like the session today? I'm reading all of your comments here. This is what motivates us to come again and again. This is now, I'm sharing the PDF of the session today. You can have the entire presentation here, go through the questions again, see what all, you learned today. Go through this. Anything else, any signing notes, anything you would like to say? Thanks a ton for your time, says Saurabh. Brilliant session. Thank you, Saurabh. I'm so glad you liked it. I hope everybody is taking away a lot from the session today. Wherever is the exam, whenever is your exam. Julia, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you. Thank you for joining, everyone. The session was a stroll in the park thanks to the course. Wow, you have a way of summarizing things. It's wonderful. The session was very helpful, brilliant session, perfectly paced, covers a lot. Yeah, that's the goal, to have most of you take a lot. The last 2 hours have been very fruitful, says Rafia. Thank you, Rafia. Oh, I could go on and do this forever. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again in another session. Next weekend, you have English, you have a verbal session and then a quant session. Good luck. I hope you all get your GMAT dream score. All the very best. See you next time.